Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we will be looking at AQA Alevel Psychology 2023 Paper 1 Exemplar Answers for Social Influence, which you need to know for AQA Alevel Psychology. I hope you enjoy this video and find it helpful. Let's get started. Please note that these answers have been produced with knowledge of the mark scheme but have not been approved by the mark scheme themselves. There are 3 assessment objectives, AOs, in psychology. In this video they are color-coded. AO1 Knowledge, purple. AO2 Application, blue. AO3 Evaluation, red and green. Question 1. Which 2 of the following best describe Zimbardo's prison study? Shade 2 boxes only. 2 marks. A. Controlled observation. B. Covert observation. C. Laboratory experiment. D. Natural experiment. E. Participant observation. A. Controlled observation and E. Participant observation. Students Natasha and Tanya are buying food in the supermarket on their way home from school. As they are paying, they notice their psychology teacher, Mr. Boat, at the far end of the queue. They both smile and wave. Mr. Boat shouts, "Hey, you two. I think you owe me homework. Wait there so we can have a quick chat." Natasha and Tanya finish paying, glance at each other giggling and hurry out of the supermarket. Question 2. Using your knowledge of obedience research, explain possible reasons why the students failed to obey their teacher. 6 marks. One possible reason why Natasha and Tanya could have failed to obey their teacher is because of social support. Social support is an external, situational, factor that suggests that defiance, resistance, disobedience and nonconformity is more likely to occur in the presence of others who are resisting. Tanya and Natasha have support from each other which gives them the confidence to disobey Mr. Boat. A second possible reason why Natasha and Tanya could have failed to obey their teacher is because of location. Milgram's research suggested that the change in location lowered the participants' perceived view of a legitimacy of the authority figure due to the location and its context. Mr. Boat and the students are not at school and so the order lacks legitimacy in this setting, the supermarket. A third possible reason why Natasha and Tanya could have failed to obey their teacher is because of proximity. Milgram's research suggested that the closer people are to observe the consequences of their actions, the lower the obedience rates as more people resisted. When people are able to feel detached from the consequences of their actions, e.g. not being able to see them firsthand, obedience is higher. It could also be suggested that the decreased proximity to the authority figure allowed participants to return to a more autonomous state, agentic state. Mr. Boat is at the far end of a queue, so disobedience is more likely. Question 3. Discuss research into minority influence. 16 marks. Minority influence is when a single person or small group, minority, is able to change the views of a larger group, majority, effectively converting others to their viewpoint. It is mostly likely to lead internalization, where the viewpoint, both belief and behavior, is both publicly and privately accepted and changed. In order for the minority to persuade the majority their views, they must show consistency and commitment. Consistency is when a minority repeatedly gives the same message and challenges the belief held by the majority. This could be an agreement between people in the minority group, synchronic consistency, they are all saying the same thing, and/or consistency over time, diachronic consistency, they have been saying the same thing for some time. This makes a majority reassess their belief and consider the issue more carefully, and so may adopt the minority point of view, as it draws attention to the minority view. Commitment is when a minority demonstrate their dedication to their belief by making sacrifices and show that they are willing to give up something for their belief, augmentation principle. This makes a majority take their argument more seriously, and so may adopt it as their own, as it shows that the minority is not acting out of self-interest. Flexibility is when a minority show they are willing to listen to others' viewpoint. This makes a majority listen to their point of view, take their argument more seriously, and so may adopt it as their own, as it shows that the minority are willing to compromise and makes the minority seem less rigid and dogmatic. Snowball effect is when the minority gradually turns into the majority as individuals become attracted to the minority viewpoint on the basis that they believe it is becoming more acceptable and more people are being to pay attention, after which the minority viewpoint gathers momentum and eventually becomes the majority. Social cryptoamnesia is when, after being successfully persuaded by a minority, people have a memory of change occurring but forget the origins of their new views, mostly likely because the individual had held negative views of the minority's viewpoint of which they have adopted, and instead of identifying with the minority group, individuals will dissociate the minority views from the people who promoted them. A strength of minority influence is that there is research to support the idea that change in the majority's position does involve deeper processing of the minority's ideas. Martin et al., 2003, presented a message supporting a particular viewpoint and measured participants' agreement. One group of participants then heard a minority group agree with the initial view, while another group heard a majority group agree with it. Participants were finally exposed to a conflicting view and attitudes were measured again. People were less willing to change their opinions if they had listened to a minority group than if they had listened to a majority group. This is a strength because it suggests that minority influence can lead to more profound cognitive engagement and resistance to attitude change compared to majority influence, showcasing the nuanced and impactful nature of minority viewpoints in shaping opinions and behaviors. However, this research does not reflect the complex nature of groups within the real world. For example, majorities usually have a lot more power and status than minorities. Minorities have very committed causes, they have to be because they often face very hostile opposition. These features are usually absent from minority influence research. The minority is simply the smallest group. This is a limitation because it suggests that traditional research on minority influence may oversimplify the real-world complexities of power dynamics and the challenges faced by minority groups, potentially underestimating the significant barriers and unique circumstances that can affect the impact and acceptance of minority viewpoints. A strength of minority influence is that there is meta-analysis research to support the minorities being able to influence majority opinions through a variety of tactics. Wood et al., 1994, conducted a meta-analysis of over 97 minority groups and their influence. Of those who remained the most consistent, they were seen to be more influential. This suggests that presenting a consistent view is a minimum requirement for a minority trying to influence a majority. This is a strength because it suggests that presenting a consistent view is not only a key factor for minority groups to influence the majority but also highlights the strategic approach that can enhance the effectiveness of minority influence in shaping societal attitudes and behaviors. However, Wood et al., 1994, findings are correlational and therefore a cause-and-effect relationship cannot be established between one behavioral trait, consistency, and the level of influence. It may be other unknown factors affect influence too which are unaccounted for. This is a limitation because it suggests that the observed relationship between consistency in behavior and influence may not solely be attributed to a direct causal link, highlighting the need to consider and account for other potential influential factors that could impact the effectiveness of minority influence strategies. A strength of minority influence is that there are multiple psychologists that argue minority influence can lead to individuals making better decisions. Namath, 2010, argues that dissent in the form of minority opinion opens the mind. As a result of exposure to a minority position, people search for information, consider more options and make better decisions, and are more creative. Dissenters liberate people to say what they believe, and they stimulate divergent and creative thought even when they are wrong. This view is supported by the work of Van Dine and Saavedra, 1996, who studied the role of dissent in work groups, finding that groups had improved decision quality when exposed to a minority perspective. This is a strength because it suggests that embracing dissent and minority opinions can lead to improved decision-making, enhanced creativity, and a more thorough consideration of various perspectives, ultimately contributing to more effective and innovative outcomes within groups and organizations. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Bye.